just gotta yap.
How we usually do that.
Hey everyone, long time no episode. I am so sorry about that. I've been having some tech difficulties, and with that in mind, I wanted to hop on before today's episode to let you know that this episode was recorded with the hope of airing it for Mother's Day. Obviously, it's much past Mother's Day, but it was still an incredible conversation with my mom. And please listen, please learn, please enjoy. And here we go. Welcome to What Are You? The podcast where everyone is feeling complicated. Join us as we reclaim, reframe, and celebrate the many facets of our identities.
Today we have a very special guest. This past weekend was Mother's Day weekend. So to celebrate, I have my mother. And welcome to today's episode.
Well, thank you, Angeleaza. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And before you say anything, Anne and Angeleaza, no, my name is actually Angeleaza. That's something that I frequently get. Your mother named you a longer version of her name, but
No, not at all. No, we named you Angeleaza because you were born on the eve of the Archangel's feast day. And you were also born on your grandmother's birthday, Daddy's mother, Beatrice, and everyone called her Lee, L-E-A. And so we named you Angel, L-E-A, and Daddy added the Z-A, and I loved it.
there is a difference in vowels, long vowel versus short vowel, Angeleaza versus Anne. So,
Right.
Speaking of Anne, I'm probably going to call you a couple different names throughout the course of this episode.
I might do the same.
Okay. And if you do the same, then I'll probably have to explain what some of the other names you're calling me are. But welcome. Thank you for being here. This is my mother. She's frequently spoken about on other episodes of the podcast. And she listens to every episode and watches. So thank you for your support and your love. She's also a big encourager, cheerleader for me in doing this work. So I'm excited for you to be on the other side of the mic. Do you mind telling the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Anne, and I am the mother of 6, but 2 are stepchildren and 4 are biological children. There's a big difference in age between the oldest biological child, Angeleaza, and the second of the stepchildren, who is 18 years older. So you're 33, Fran's 30, JT's 28, and CJ's 27. Yeah. And I'm recently retired.
Yay! Congratulations.
Yeah. I loved my work very much, but it was the right time.
And what did you do?
I was a school counselor for many years. Prior to that, I had a home daycare for about 11 years. And prior to that, I was a school counselor. And prior to that, I was a teacher, middle school teacher. And prior to that, I was a 3rd grade teacher. And prior to that, I worked in a Christian house called Isaiah House, where we housed ex-offenders and helped them get restarted in their lives. And also worked at a nursing home and a daycare during that time. Yeah.
That's a very, very full career. Isaiah House was actually, actually not too far from where we are right now, which I remember when I was first looking at colleges was one of the reasons I didn't want to look at Catholic, where I ended up transferring to, because you lived and worked so close to there. And then Daddy also grew up in DC. So I was like, I need an adventure. I need to go further away. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, I, as the oldest biological child, did not make an appearance until the tail end of round 1 of counseling. So you had a full, very multifaceted career journey, I will say, before I was alive.
True. Well, I was 33 when we got married. And so 36 and you. So, yeah.
You all know that I identify as a professional sports fangirl. And since I lived in New York City, I am hyped that the New York Knicks just won their first NBA championship in 53 years. However, I was shocked to realize that I don't own any Knicks swag to celebrate in. Luckily, I can always turn to Old Glory for my fangirl swag. Old Glory is a family-owned superstore that has been around for nearly 60 years. They offer over 300,000 officially licensed items for music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture fans, which means there's something for you, no matter which fan base you identify with. Plus, your merch ships the same day you purchase it, with free shipping on all orders. Old Glory is giving listeners of What Are You 15% off your order when using code WAY at checkout. Discover your perfect fan gear and save with code WAY at oldglory.com.
Let's get into it. So you know the drill because you listen to every episode. But on every episode, I do ask every single guest, unless it's a bonus episode, the same question. Anne, Molly, what are you?
Well, I'm multifaceted.
Of course.
I am a mom. I was a wife and mom, and those were two of my greatest aspirations ever. And I was also a school counselor, like I said before, but being a mother is definitely the best thing I ever in my life, being a wife and mother.
Yeah, how appropriate because it's the Mother's Day episode too. And I do want to say you're still technically a wife, even though your husband passed away.
Yeah, right. I know. So that was the combination is the greatest. Yeah.
Do you want to speak today more to being a mom and being a mother?
I would guess so, since it's the Mother's Day after episode. And then the aspect of faith that plays a big role in my life.
In a religious faith context. Amazing. So tell me about your journey to being a mother and having this be such a critical, formative facet of your identity. How did this come to be initially?
Well, when I was young, I just was a kid and played and everything. I did like baby dolls. I didn't like Barbies or that type of stuff, but I did like baby dolls. I had at least one Thumbelina that I remember really, really liking. But I also loved playing. I loved being outside. I loved playing rough. I loved playing. And I was a definite tomboy. I didn't like girly girl stuff or anything like that.
When were you growing up? When were you a kid?
In the late 50s and 60s.
Okay. So in that time, what was considered more tomboy and what was more girl and girl?
Well, I think I was a tomboy because I liked to play. We would play British Bulldog, American Eagle. It was the same game. We would try to run across the field and someone would be in the middle and try to tackle you. And then if they tackled you, they got in the middle. And then everyone would try to get to the other side and they would keep tackling people and you would try to be the one to finish without being tackled. And I loved
So it's like Sharks and Minnows football?
Maybe it wasn't even football. It was
I mean, just like
right,
in terms of
just
the
right.
tackling.
Right. And I really enjoyed that. I loved climbing trees and those types of things.
And what were the girly girl activities and more feminine, femme-coded activities that you didn't enjoy so much?
Well, actually, I did learn to knit. I did like that. But I don't know, the girl, like makeup and, dressing up, that type of stuff I didn't like. I remember when my cousins were visiting and we were going to D.C. We lived in Northern Virginia, and my mom would dress me up, and I hated it. I was always uncomfortable. I think it was because of my discomfort with, I'm so sensitive to, I can't have anything tight. It wasn't like it was tight, but it was just the materials weren't, I guess, breathing or whatever. It was like, I just didn't like that type of stuff. I'm not diagnosed ADHD by my children.
But
Yeah, well, but I was not the bouncing bean type of thing.
Okay.
I mean, in school, I was very nervous, very, very nervous, and would do everything I was supposed to do and sit right and hardly breathe. I was very, very nervous then as a child. But my mind is always thinking, always.
Well, that's how I was. And was.
Yeah, well, right. You were good, very well behaved. But I do remember in one of your class pictures, everyone's looking this way to the camera, and your head is this way, but your eyes are looking out of there. And I remember that you were looking, I guess you're just trying to make sure you know everything that's going on. My sister had her first child when I was a senior in high school. And that was like a real key that I was like, definitely wanted to have children. And that really was intense. My sister having her first child, it was just a blessing, and I definitely wanted to be a mother. But then as I went along, and I lived at Isaiah House, I guess it was my early 20s, I really, the reality of being a mother really hit me hard, like that it's for the rest of your life, and the responsibilities is started like to understand. So I think it was a growth, learning that it's just not a cute thing and
Like
just
a quick job.
but it's like intense I mean, it's a commitment. That reality, I don't know what brought it to me, but it just, I realized that it's something like the idea I just can't just go out and play or go play basketball or go do something, like I'd have to, there's a lot of other people I'd have to be considerate of. And so I guess I got a lot of it out of me. Not waiting till, but just until I was 36.
What about being at Isaiah House prompted you to do some of that introspection?
Father Bill.
Who's Father Bill?
He was a brother at the time, a Marian father, and now he has his own Missionaries of Mercy order out in Colorado. He would do different workshops where we would have, reflection, introspection, and who we are in God and what we're called to be. He was very instrumental in my life. And I mean, I know a lot of women can keep doing whatever they're doing and they're called to do and be a really great mom. But for me, it was more like the reality of it is an intense commitment. And I did want it, but the reality of it hit me strongly. Yeah.
So I, as you know, went to Catholic University, and there is a saying there called "ring by spring," and all of like the uber Catholic girls of Catholic University who I guess really want to be mothers and want to be wives and are aiming for that very societally expected and very traditional lifestyle. That would be the joke, that they're all aiming to get a ring by spring so that right when they graduated, they could basically get married and start having children. I mean, the joke is as if that's their only societal contribution, but it's also something that became a joke because in this day and age, in this modern era, it seems like something that just seems very rudimentary in a way. So there seemed to be this huge drive, and it was said to be rooted in Catholicism. Did you ever feel like any sense of you needed to be a mother as part of your Catholic faith, or to be considered a worthy woman in Catholicism?
No.
Okay.
It was just like, like a vocation is something you're drawn to, whether it's single life, whether it's as a religious, as a sister or brother, or as a priest, or a married person, whatever road that's for you. It's basically following God's will is best. But prior to all this, I wanted to have a house where I would take in children, that orphans. And so when I went to college, I started out in social welfare, but I didn't like a lot of the stuff going on with it. And I switched to health and physical education. And I figured with I have a degree, people will give me more work. That was like, just thought that was important. Actually, I almost took a break during school time to go work at this house for unwed women in California. And my parents were open to me doing this, but then I don't know, it was like something came over me, like I need to finish school. And they were happy about that too. But yeah, I wanted to have a house with a husband, that we would take care of children. And then that never actually actualized, except then the Isaiah House came about, where we helped the ex-offenders, trying to get them like out of their old neighborhoods and into habits. Yeah. But I don't know, that outlook that you were saying at Catholic, yeah, I mean, there's some of those young women that wanted to do that was maybe their vocation, to get married young and have children. And in the Catholic Church, you follow your path,
Yeah.
and so I don't know exactly. I had never heard about Ring by Spring or any of that type
That's
of stuff.
surprising, though.
I don't know. I never heard of that. But I think when we put time constraints on it, we can limit what God's best will for us or whatever. But so I don't know. I guess you said it was a joke too. So
I mean, kind of, but also, have you heard of trad wives and the trad wife trend, if you will, or aesthetic that has been popular in the past couple of years? Trad wives are basically wives that lead that traditional lifestyle, and whether it's real or performative, people are drawn to it. A lot of it is associated with the general trends of the moment and like the politicization of trends. Like, we are under a conservative administration currently in the United States. So there's a lot of talk about returning to, quote, traditional Christian values or traditional Catholic values. And a trad wife doesn't have to be Catholic or Christian. I mean, Mormons are huge proponents of trad wife lifestyles, and there's also trad wife influencers and things. But there is this socio-political perception that Catholicism or religion or Christ-based faiths especially tend to limit women into these more nuclear, familial spaces and places and these roles. But I know too, because I know you, because I am your daughter, I know that you don't necessarily subscribe to that view of faith and religion.
Yeah, no, and I would have loved that in a sense. I mean, if I had money to just be a full-time mother, and that would have been.
Oh, it's not like being a full-time mom, though. It's you're a full-time mom, but you're churning your own butter. You're like raising the cows on the farm. Okay. And wearing long dresses.
Well, I already be doing that, but I would not be doing that. But I mean, I would in a bubble, like I would like that, but I know how I am, and I, for some people that might be exactly what they want.
For sure.
And I think it's like, if people are following God's leaning, if they're leaning into God and really trying to follow Him, the right things will come about for them. I mean, yeah, in my dreams, maybe I would have liked to have been like on a farm and doing this thing. The reality, God knew me better. So, and, I kind of had to work because, well, first of all, like my sleep. Okay, I was not someone like I was a night owl, and it took me a while to fall asleep. But once I was asleep, I couldn't wake up. Okay, and I kind of ended up needing to have a job that we would all right. I guess getting my kids to school, but if we homeschooled, I don't think that would have ended up working because we'd be getting up at noon. But I don't know. You never know. You never know.
I don't think I would have thrived in a homeschool space.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I I had thought about that because you were so into theater and dance. And I was thinking that would maybe save some of the time, just the exhaustion of taking you places, going and having the others, and then having the daycare and driving people. That was a lot.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, boy, if you just wanted to learn, at home, because you could learn a lot by yourself, and we could help you along. But
That's what it would have been.
yeah, but right. But and I think you would have done fine because you were so active. You wanted to be in. You were so involved.
But what about the rest of everybody?
Right. I think the boys would have been very contented with homeschooling, and Brianna, I'm not sure. She probably would have been contented, but involved. I mean, like doing sports, doing dance, doing all the activities. That would be really important because having interactions with people. I mean, I always think that's important in growing up. You learn other skills.
But you never felt pressure from your faith to be a mother. You felt that drive and that calling in yourself.
Right. It was within me. Some women that want to be mothers also want to have a career, and that can work for them if that's how they are created. It's just having like a village of people that can work with them, I think it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to do because you have to be able to trust the people that you're having watch your children and everything. I was lucky. I was a school counselor when you were born, and then I had a good maternity leave, and then I went back part-time, but Daddy watched you. Like, we flip-flopped.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot of each other for a while there, but we flip-flopped, and so that worked out. And then when you were 2, you did stay with a friend of ours who had 2 daughters for probably about 6 or 7 hours of the day. But we still juggled a lot because when I was working part-time, we would be like going to bed at midnight when I'd be going to bed.
That's my origin story.
And Daddy would feed you breakfast, and then by the time I got home, we would nap together and then have all evening to play, or whatever. So it just make it work, that you trust that you're doing the right thing, and I was so drawn to it. I wanted to be there, So that was very, very strong for me.
This episode is brought to you by The Adventures After Tuck-In, The Midnight Dance, written by Jules Franzese and illustrated by Ashley Casalino. Your new favorite bedtime story has arrived, and the adventure begins now. Step into Ladybug Lane, where the extraordinary unfolds after Tuck-In. 7-year-old Soyo wants to be brave, even when her knees feel wobbly and her heart beats fast. Join her as she learns bravery doesn't always mean being fearless. Sometimes it means taking the very first step. Get your copy today at adventuresaftertuckin.com. Because the greatest adventures don't happen during the day. They begin after tuck-in.
So looking back at what you said earlier about wanting to adopt orphans and bring them into your home when you got married and everything, what happened with that goal or that dream or that piece of this I want to be a mother identity?
It morphed, and it had that, like I said before, Isaiah House. And then from there, I started teaching 3rd grade. And so when I was teaching 3rd grade, these children, some of them had really, really hard lives, really hard lives. And actually, the reason I went to teaching from Isaiah House was I thought if you can get people when they're younger to start with like good habits and stuff like that, that will help them as they grow. And that's part of why I became a third grade teacher, besides, getting the job. I don't know, but no, that was really important to me. But as I was a teacher, I realized that some of them had really hard lives outside of school. And I just remember one little girl was supposed to choose which parent to go with, and she was 8 years old. And I was like, wait a minute. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the state was saying about it, but that's what her parents were saying about it. And I don't know. And just kind of talking to them, like after school or in places, I was just like at recess or whatever, that's where my calling, that's where I was like leaning to, that working with one-on-one or a small group. And that led me to go back to school for counseling. And that's, I know that was Father Bill helping me, and the direction that God wanted me to go. That was the focus then, okay, to go and get that counseling degree.
What were your ultimate goals once you became a guidance counselor and once you got your master's and your certifications? You had to get certifications to be a counselor, right?
Yes, it's depending on where you were. I worked in Catholic schools, okay, so some of them had the certifications for teachers, but it wasn't necessarily needed to the same level for the school counselors. After I finished my degree, I still taught part-time and counseled part-time at the same school where I taught third grade and middle school. So I had my family there of students. It was like the greatest experience. One class per grade, and so very, very entwined.
6th, 7th, and 8th grades?
6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but I was part-time religion and math, maybe. I think one year I did English, and that was not my strength. So I think I did religion and math the other year or whatever, and part-time counseling. But from there, I went to the high school, and that was where I really, knew that was a role I should be doing, or a vocation I should be doing.
You said that when you were at Isaiah House, you saw that, or you had the thought, what if I could interact with these people at a younger age, and so they don't get to the point where they become offenders and then eventually ex-offenders and are working with Isaiah House? What if I help them younger? And that's what took you to being the third grade teacher. When you were working in high school, did you feel like that was a more impactful time of their lives to help them out, or did you not have that as your main primary goal anymore?
I don't know. It was just what unfolded. That the school where I was didn't have the finances to continue to have it was a K through 8 Catholic school, didn't have the finances to still pay for another position. And then I was able to get the position at an all boys high school, and with full JROTC.
What is JROTC? Also,
Well, the ROTC for the military that they do junior.
Okay,
Yes. And that they would have it in high school. They'd have to wear their uniforms and have it just right. They'd have inspection every day. I really loved it. And so I don't know where my goal thought was going there, but I needed a job. And I didn't originally think I would love high school so much. And I did. That was kind of unexpected how much I loved it. I wasn't the college counselor there. Okay.
And what's a college counselor?
Well,
I have to explain this to people.
Okay. A college counselor really helps with the whole process of helping a student figure out what they want to do, helping them with their applications, guiding them in the process of figuring out what schools to apply to, et cetera.
It's like a career counselor, but for college.
Yes. And so I was like academic / personal or whatever. And basically, I always tried to meet the students where they are, because I don't know if it's my quote ADHD or that I didn't know I had. I really, really tend to get why you can't get things done. Like I was an excellent student though, but it was because of my conscientiousness, total conscientiousness. But to try to really understand where they are, if they're struggling with getting work done, they're struggling doing things, I really could understand them where they were or whatever they were doing. That was so important, the listening, and kind of trying to help in the process and encouraging too.
And empathize.
To total empathy.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know where that other dream of the orphans were, but except the Isaiah house. And then I ended up doing daycare.
Can you explain a little bit about what doing daycare is or was it for us, at least, or for you?
Okay. So I was at school for I think 7 years, and then I was pregnant with Brianne. I had you while I was there, and like I said before, we did the juggling for whatever the time period was, and then I went to school. It was like a 90-hour program, getting licensed as a home daycare provider. We were lucky. We had the garage converted to a playroom, and it was ideal. We had the toys, the walls with, it's very, very inviting. Daddy did so much in making it so inviting. And we had to get fingerprinted and have the background checks and all that. And then I structured the day pretty much of, we would have circle time. I don't remember the order right now, but we'd have music time, we'd have PE, or and we go outside, and we'd have our snacks, two snacks and lunch, and I remember you and some of the others when Harry Potter came out.
Oh yeah,
and it was so cute that you all created a show and a performance. And I had rules, like the county had rules. You could have 2 under 2, and my own children counted in that. So, which is a good thing, I appreciate it. And I had a lot of part-time families, so they were people that were very involved in their children's lives, and it wasn't like they weren't trying to get from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., being just dropped off and whatever. I had people that, would do normal hours or 2 or 3 days a week. And I ended up having some really great friendships with those families that continued to this day. And I was the school counselor of 3 of them when they were in high school. It was just like, again, being in God's will, just kind of bump to bump to bump to bump. And now one of them's getting married.
Yeah, which is wild. And then why did you stop doing daycare?
Well, CJ, my youngest, was in first grade, and it was time. It was time to go back to being a school counselor.
And when I was in 9th grade.
Right.
And then you followed me. I gave her a good referral.
Yes. Yeah.
So you started at my high school, my sophomore year.
Which was a blessing. I mean, I did a year at a different school.
Your high school.
At my high school, and which was very good, except the commute. It would take me at least an hour getting there, but many times 3 hours to go pick you up. Going to your school, the commute was much better.
Yeah.
I remember, Angeleaza did give me amazing accommodation. Only, I don't even think you realized it, because the woman who was retiring was subbing in a class of yours, and you found out that she was one of the school counselors there, and you said, "Oh, my mom's that," and she loves her job or whatever, and that I think really helped. Because
you're welcome.
Because she said that I loved my job, and then
look at me, just talking and not even knowing what I'm saying. and doing.
Yeah, so I think
Changing the course of history.
Yeah, I'm sure that helped. And then I was there 18 years.
Yeah, until you retired.
Right, and you went through it, Gran, JT and CJ all
Yeah.
went through high school, and it was with me.
Yeah. And Daddy almost did too.
Well, yeah, he was going to start working there right before he died. He was retired already from his other job, and then he was going to start there, but then I guess got a different plans.
Getting back to your identity as a
yeah,
mother.
that's right.
When you were a guidance counselor, when you were a teacher, what parts of that desire to be a mother did that sort of fulfill, or did it deepen that desire?
I wasn't married when I started at high school, and then got married while I was a counselor there. I learned some of the students had no boundaries, and there were parties, there were police coming, like stuff like that. And the students that had boundaries and had to work and didn't have a lot of money were really good, hardworking students. And I didn't plan that we wouldn't have a lot of money. I didn't plan that we would have a lot of money. But at the same time, I thought that, let's say if we were rich, I still wouldn't have wanted to have raised my children with being entitled. I saw the entitlement hurt, and I learned that there.
Yeah.
But I just knew that I still wanted to have children, though.
In that time when you were working at the high school, you became a stepmother. And
when Daddy and I got married.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Right.
So to my older brother and my older sister. And how did that feel for you? I mean, you're still their stepmother, but at that time, did you feel like, oh, wow, I have a child? Or was it not even like a conscious thought or a concrete thought? Like, oh, I'm going from being not married and not having children to, in one marriage, being a wife and a mother right away.
Right. Well, it was more like a mother of one, because the other one was older. With Mark, I knew Mark since he was like in third grade, and it was just kind of more natural. It was different, in the sense of, like, I guess, I felt like Daddy was the
Disciplinarian.
right,
That's what she was gonna say.
right, the disciplinarian, the one who, I would follow his lead, because Mark was 18.
Yeah.
No, 16. 16. And so I would back Daddy, but Daddy was the main person. I was there, in support of Daddy and support of Mark. I thought that would be ridiculous of me coming in, and he's 16 and, making rules for him. No, that didn't
It would have
happen.
been. Yeah.
No. So I didn't see that. I felt that.
So when you had your own biological children, you were like, oh, wow, I can have rules for them.
Yeah, but Daddy still was good disciplinarian, and in the sense, like if it were just me, your lives would be different in different ways, and if it were just him, it would be different in different ways. I don't know.
I think it would have been two extremes. Chaos with you, and like not crazy chaos, but like fun chaos, and with Daddy like strict, but like with like moments of levity. Yeah.
Like he probably would have been more sheltered. And
With you?
Yeah. And Daddy always said I led a sheltered life. But he didn't he teased me about it, but he liked it.
Before I I just ask you some more questions about being a mother, do you mind just giving a brief observation of how faith played a role in your life as on your journey to motherhood to this point, other than, Father Bill and Isaiah House? What other ways did your faith play a role in your life?
Well, I was born Catholic and raised Catholic. And I know many people, go different directions and stuff like that, but I didn't. I don't know. I used to read like the lives of the saints when I was like in elementary school, like fifth grade. I remember especially that may have been when we were making our confirmation. I think so. So I read a lot of those. They always used to say, "What you put into mass is what you got out of it," and I would try to put stuff in and see what I would get out. I don't know
And
how that
quick
worked.
pause real quick for listeners who are not familiar with Catholicism. At that point, and you were probably in fifth-ish grade, Vatican II occurred, and Vatican II essentially was, what was it, a congregation, or it was a conference that radically modernized Catholicism and radically modernized the Mass. Like, for the first time, the Mass was allowed to be said in a language that wasn't Latin. So that alone was a big deal. There wasn't a strict dress code for attending Mass. Did that occurring in a relatively formative part of your life impact your relationship with your faith at all? Or did it make it more accessible?
I was young, I don't know. I just flowed with it because I was young enough that like it wasn't like like something wonderful or terrible was happening. I do. I think my parents were very positive, with how it was going. And in the early 70s, they got involved with the Charismatic movement within the church, and so did I. And
What is that?
it was the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, and so there would be prayer meetings and deepening of faith and being very open to the Holy Spirit leading in our lives. And I think I went to my first prayer meeting, I want to say the end of sophomore year of high school, and I remember I really loved it. And that same weekend, I went to I think it was called a Fia Fia. It was like a Samoan feast. They did a roasted pig in the ground, and I was like, at this point, all these years later, remember that I just thought that was the best weekend between the prayer meeting and the Fia Fia, if that was the name. I don't want to say the wrong one. No, but I had so much fun, natural fun, not pretense or any of that. It was like a lot of fun. And my parents in their prayer group, they helped the Vietnamese refugees that came over, and they helped with housing and jobs. And remember when they would talk to the Vietnamese, they would talk really loud, and it was like, Pat, Mom, why are you talking so loud? They didn't realize they were doing it. For some reason, they thought they would understand you better because it was different language.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
Well, people still do that now.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it was totally unconscious, and they were like they're both saints, I know, but it was they took care of them. They took care of this guy that got out of prison. The prayer group kind of wrapped their arms around him. They were just like good, and then they got involved with the prison ministry after I had been involved with it, and they kept going down to the prison every Sunday, even when I wasn't going.
You've always seemed to have a good, or this is my perception, at least, that you've always had a very spiritually rooted relationship with your faith and with Catholicism, which is impressive because of, especially now in this day and age, again, like going back to the sociopoliticalness of it all, it seems that as I've gotten older, for me, my observation, and I know Brianne, JT, and CJ, and a lot of other people in this world feel the same way. It feels like the politics and the societal understandings of religion have just become almost, have almost taken over the spiritualness of the faith and the religion. And it's like every time I've gone to a new church, it's just like, well, what type of church is this going to be? Is this going to be a church where everything is done for show, or everything's going to be like very political? Are there going to be people here who say that they have the same religious belief system as I do, but then they believe such different, in my opinion, harmful things than I do? Do I think that their understanding of their religion is driving them to go against everything that Jesus seemed to have preached, and like the Bible seems, I mean, I know it's up to interpretation, but like seems to say, or are they taking it literally and not thinking that the Bible is up to interpretation? So I guess going back to my question is, how have you managed to kind of cut through all of that noise and maintain, at least from the external point of view, such a pure relationship with your
with
faith?
Jesus. With the relationship is with Jesus, and the faith supports it. So I don't know if it was my dad or just an expression, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, when you're like giving a baby a bath and you empty the water, the dirty stuff goes away. Yes, there's corruption, there's bad in any type of organization. I mean,
Sure.
or there can be. So even though there were bad things within the Catholic Church, with the
We're
right. No, but I'm just saying those things. That's the people are in it for the wrong reasons. Okay,
And you're talking
you can't control everyone that chooses to become Catholic, chooses to become a Christian in another denomination, a Catholic Christian or a Pentecostal Christian or a Baptist Christian. You know, I mean, we're following Jesus, and that's how I can separate. Like I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The Eucharist is central to Catholicism, and yes, there's been stuff over the years, and like you said, still, and
as recently as today, even when we're recording this.
Really,
well, not from the Catholic side, from people.
Right.
Yes.
Well, there's also that national Christian thing that is very political, and the Catholic churches try to stay out of the politics, but they, like, when things immoral are going on, you have to say something. You know.
So when you're saying the Catholic Church, are you specifically referring to the Pope, the Vatican, as trying to stay out of this? Because you and I have talked about instances that I've observed, or maybe you've observed some too, of higher level leaders in the church kind of, I don't know, stirring the pot a little bit and bringing the church closer to, or intermixing politics and the church.
Yeah. I happen to be in a parish that is very, very welcoming of everyone. And I think that if we look in the New Testament, Jesus's life, he reached those at the margins. You know, he welcomed everyone. And I think that is first and foremost. And if a church is trying to pull away from that and cutting out certain people, or saying you have to do this, vote for this or this person over that, that's not what we are called to do. We're given free will, and we are given a brain, and we are to make conscious moral consciously moral decision in what way we go, like in the situation where you talked about telling people who to vote for. No, the church, that's not what the Catholic teaching is. You make an informed decision, a moral decision based on what you know, and you try to investigate what's what, and then make your decision.
Does some of that outside noise ever like seep in and make you feel sad that there is this close affiliation that so many people have in their brain with, like, we'll call it the political Catholicism and the spiritual Catholicism? Like, for example, there was something, I want to say maybe like a month or so ago, where one of the cabinet officials was encouraging a war internationally in, quote, in the name of Jesus Christ. And I know that the Pope spoke about that, but in general, like, people may probably not see that the Pope
That person is Catholic?
supposedly.
Oh, gosh.
But I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
you
I mean, I know
find-
who you're talking about.
Yeah. But I feel like you find, like, I will see maybe some commentary somewhere that the Pope denounced this, the church denounced that, but it's buried under the loud, clickbaity, noisier headline that so-and-so says this in the name of the church, or so-and-so says that in the name of the church.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, that's not an isolated incident. So I feel like in terms of from the general public's point of view, this alignment is just being strengthened by the way that the media and the news cycle kind of churns out these headlines. And even if the media is not saying, oh, but he's saying this, but don't really listen to him in a Catholic way because, like, he's not, like, this is not what the church says. They're not saying that, but the implication is, because they're not actively saying it, is like, oh, snap, this is another Catholic thing. Does that, like, sort of sentiment of a Catholic thing, like, and it's just associated with wrongdoing and hatefulness and exclusion, does that make you sad?
Well, of course, I mean, I'll be sad if things are misconstrued. I know one summer I was working, it was this house in Virginia, and the priest would have college students come, and we would do work in the area to help the people. We were building the house. We had a Bible school. I don't know what else we had, but we had a couple other things. And one of the things, this nun who was working there in the summer, and this friend of mine, myself, we were supposed to go around to people's houses and talk to them, and maybe was telling them about the Vacation Bible School. I think that was
so. It's like a set of other things,
right. Because I was not one to, what's the word, proselytize or whatever, but it was. I think we were inviting families to know about the Bible school. And one girl, I don't know, she was like 10 or 11, maybe 12, was talking to us, and she found out we were Catholic. She's like, "You're a Catholic?" And like, she was always told Catholic people were horrible and all these bad things, and she liked us. But it was just like, so this depends sometimes where you're raised, what people know, like a lot of ignorance, you don't know, what you don't know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, when people are saying that, this is what Catholics believe, or this is what these Christians believe, it's like sometimes, we don't really know until we find out more.
I guess then getting back to the original question is, does the ignorance make you sad? The ignorance of the masses, to just not even to like the intricacies of faith, but just like the understanding of what is religion, what is politics, what is Catholicism versus Westboro Baptist Church.
I don't know. I just somehow stay out of the political side of this, in the sense of the church. And what I would want for people is to have a relationship with Jesus, the founder of Christianity, the founder of what originally was everything was Catholic. I mean, but you're called Christians. It started then, and he had his apostles, anointed them, anointed Peter, upon this rock I will build my church, and then over the years it kept growing. A lot of corruption happened, different time periods, but a lot of good, and so it's just like, if they understood that the succession has been from Jesus. All these years, the anointing, the laying of the hands of each priest. And like I said, some people have gotten into it for the wrong reasons. And that, but we have to go back to the center and try to keep the real reasons, the real founding of how did Jesus live, and that's how we are to continue to live. And yes, there's a lot of, the show and that type of stuff. That's, some people like that. I'm not into that really, but that, some people like it. It can be very holy and all, but and it speaks to a lot of people. But the bottom line is that's where the communion, the Eucharist, was from all those years, and that's why I'm Catholic. That's what continues to draw me, is that this is my body, this is my blood. We're just not, this is bread and wine, and we're sharing a meal, which is great, but it is his body, it is his blood. And that's where the difference is with a lot of people of other denominations are wonderful, and a lot of people living super great lives, but for me the draw is the Eucharist. That
well, then what would you say, and not to convert anybody, because again, he don't want to proselytize or preach or be a missionary, but what would your message for somebody who is just turned off by the whole idea of Catholicism because of a poor taste in their mouth, the maybe closed-minded, exclusionary taste they have in their mouth, or corrupt taste they have in their mouth from everything that they hear, the clickbait, the media, and also just the misuse of Catholicism, saying things in the name of the church that are not at all applicable to the church, or just are just fully used out of context with anything. Or would you say anything to educate them or inform them? It's not so much the people who have actively chosen to hate it. It's more people who have been conditioned by the state of the world and the state of the information that they receive through osmosis or whatever, to say, hey, everything I'm hearing, I know that personally my values don't align with that, so I don't want to align myself with that, or I don't want to align myself with people who might align themselves with that.
Well, it would depend on how much they know, like,
Sure.
And like, if they're just saying this based on hearsay, like,
it is all.
I could, like, if they wanted, I mean, if they asked, I could say, you could talk with a priest maybe, or even online. I think your cousin wife listens to Father Schmitz. He does like the Bible in a year type things. He reads like a certain amount of scripture and then kind of talks a little bit about it. But then he has a lot of little lessons that I don't know as much about, or it's something like that could be helpful for some people to learn more, because he is speaking like the church, and he's encouraging, he's speaking the teachings, or they could seek out, like I said, the priest, or I would probably suggest that if they wanted to know more, but also just to pray, just to everyone, like whatever denomination, whatever to pray, take time each day if you can. Try to even 5 minutes if you don't have a lot of feel like you have a lot of time, just to seek out God's will or the truth. And
But also that what I'm hearing too is that the root of Catholicism is not to hate, is not to exclude.
no, it's
just
founded
love.
on Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
We see what
know.
is meaning. The evil spirit can really mess with everything too.
Yeah.
And just pray for protection from all evil and harm. For you, your siblings, myself, the people we encounter, and now praying for our country. I mean, things sneak in.
Looking for a game-changing way to improve your health? Look no further than Zivolife microalgae, a nutrient-packed superfood supplying bioavailable protein, fiber, and antioxidants to support your wellness journey. Just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. No wonder it's receiving rave 5-star reviews. Ready to feel the difference? Visit zivo.life and start your journey today with a 30-day risk-free guarantee. What Are You listeners can save 30% off any order by using the exclusive code WAY at checkout. Zivolife.
What do you love about being a mom and your identity as a mom?
You were my first. Having you, just giving birth was very, very hard.
Yeah, that's what
Right. 48 hours of labor
for her birthday.
And but giving birth and having you, that was just the most unbelievable, phenomenal thing I've ever had. And the ones that followed, just
The ones that followed.
right. No, each
Yeah.
experience, it's indescribable for me. It was just so amazing. And then taking care of each of you, feeding you, nursing you, helping you as you grow along, learning right from wrong as much as possible, just kind of giving a direction, a foundation, so that you all can eventually, be who you are in the world, which is really hard for me, but in the sense of, but it's what has to happen. You become like, you're adults,
Right.
you do, and I appreciate all that all of you are doing. It's just like sometimes I just
You miss
like,
us.
yeah.
She likes the chaos.
I do. I still love being a mother. I still, that is like the best thing in the world. And I feel bad, like, for someone who can't have children or whatever, that
If
they want them, but I still, it's just, but there's many children that can be adopted too, and that's important.
I tried to convince you to adopt 3 more siblings so that I could be Liesel in like a Von Trapp family, but we'd be the Anderson family singer.
Yeah. Right. Were you about 7 then? Or I don't know, maybe.
I saw the Sound of Music.
Yeah, maybe you were a little older. Yeah, but yes. Well, that's how you were. You wanted to perform. You wanted to be, right? I know. But I mean, as far as, I only had so many years to be children. I was blessed with 4, and I was really, really grateful, because when you have your first at 36, there's not a whole lot of active hormonal or whatever years there. So that was a blessing.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say your least favorite, but what is the hardest part about being a mom?
You all going, I mean, it's one I understand, and it has to be, but going now.
Oh, so you didn't dream of being an empty nester?
Never. Mm-mm. That's not, I mean, each of us is different, and that was me.
Yeah. Well, what would you, I know what you would say, but tell the listeners what you would say to someone who who maybe doesn't want to be a mom or isn't sure or kind of toggles between wanting to be a mom and not wanting to be a mom. What would you say to them?
What would I say?
What advice would you give them?
I'd have to understand them in the sense of what's holding them back. And I mean, the culture of life is great, but maybe there's fears that might be that they might need to explore, and try to understand that. And it's not guaranteed that if they that they will have a child.
Right.
So sometimes it's just that letting go and not worrying, just allowing what happens to happen. And you always get the grace, to be able to get through situations. So yeah, like, I mean, the hardest, one of the hardest parts was when that sniper was around. And
do you want to give any more?
when the DC and the surrounding area sniper was around, that was a horrific time.
Fall 2002. It was a year after 9/11.
Was it the year after?
Yeah.
Okay. And you just never knew where he would be, and that was extremely stressful with having you all, and just trying to protect you, running into school with your backpacks in the front and me behind you.
And so you don't sound super crazy. There was one of the sniper shootings was at the middle school, like very close to
where we lived, and
where we went to school.
But it was just so terrible. But that I got to the point of breaking, like, in the sense it was so hard. And I remember going up to my room and on my knees praying, and I begged the Blessed Mother to intercede for all of us. I couldn't take it any longer, and within a couple hours, he was caught. With an hour or two, I don't know. Yeah. That was the greatest thing. Yeah.
That was a rough time.
Other thing, though, I would really want to find out what would the fears, the context of someone who was unsure. Because in everything, even, I just see in so many things, simple things, like during COVID, sometimes they wouldn't have, like, we were getting the food delivered. And but I had started that before with the Instacart before COVID, but I would order all the stuff and they didn't have, but what we got was good. It worked for us. And one time I ordered all this meat.
Oh my God,
because because they were always out of so much of it, and they happened to have it all. And somehow we fit it in our tiny little refrigerator, that's refrigerator for a college dorm where we were living then. And the boys and I, it fit, so we, like, just simple things. So we always got what we needed. And now I'm, like, seeing so much of the time, someone's running late. Well, it's okay. It's okay, because it is what it is, and we'll make the most of when we get to the place or whatever. And I'm just like, those are simple little things. But just in my getting this job, like, that I just got this job, my finances are not that great, but God always provided. And now that I'm retired, my brother said I would last 10 years or whatever if I didn't do something. And but based on what he knows, but it's like I always know God's going to provide for me, and I get this wonderful part-time job that is just perfect. Things do work out.
Yeah.
Things are hard. That doesn't take away hard. And there's, definitely hard stuff, but it's definitely worth it in my mind.
For you,
But I want them to try to figure out what is holding them back, and trying to figure out maybe not everyone's called following our vocation, our own, what we're called to do, but taking the time to pray for that,
to have that self-reflection, that introspection, even if that prayer is not where they live their version of prayer, what they need. Yeah. I mean, I know that, and I know you know this too, but like for me, I actively didn't want to have kids for so long and be a mother because, well, I think you said this when I was much younger. But you said, "Well, I think you're a little too vain to have kids at this point, or at whatever point. I don't know." But I was, but like that wasn't never why I didn't want to have kids. It was more like I just never knew one way or the other. And then after Danny died, that kind of took a lot of time to even figure out, no, I don't want to have kids. And just the pain of like the fear of having to lose a child or be a parent that is lost. That was for so many years after I kind of had that realization. That was really hard, but it's also, I think that's something that I'm not going to even say worked through. It's just I think I know and understand myself in life better now, and I can make a more informed decision. And I think that more informed decision is maybe having kids now in the future. What was your biggest trepidation before having kids? And I also know that you did experience some loss in regards to that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I had miscarriage before you and before Bran. But what was my biggest trepidation? Being married later and all, I was ready, So I don't know if I had gotten married younger, what I would have thought. I think I still would have wanted to have. I probably would have had like 10 children if my body could do it. I don't know if my body could do it. I know that having my fourth, I was really afraid to have him come out of me because of the experience of
JT was not good
when I had JT. As far as my doctor was out of the country, and the other doctor, oh my gosh, was just it was just a hard experience. Not like super long labor like yours. That was just different. I think my body just wasn't used to this happening. It's like, what are you doing? It's just like, or you just wanted to stay where you were. I don't know. But whatever. That was very different. This was the actual birth, and it was very, very hard. It was. My other doctor was excellent. He was just phenomenal.
Were you nervous about, like, as we grew up, like us encountering a stage of life or a situation, and how you as a mother would navigate or help us navigate that, or you would guide us through it, or not?
I wasn't nervous about that beforehand, but it's more after, like as far as there's a lot of concerns, safety, whether it's safety in the house, safety with people, safety outside, I was,
you are, not was, is still currently.
I want you all to, always say your prayers and bless you and be,
That's why your children are all in or just outside major cities in America.
yeah. But yeah, things can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the hardest, or is the hardest.
The safety.
Safe. I always pray that you're safe, healthy, strong, holy, and pure. Yeah.
And then when when Daddy passed away, did you feel or fear or think at all about how that would change your dynamic as a parent, or just your experience?
Yeah, I mean, losing a parent at a young age was a big concern for me, for you all. But
Because also, maybe let's clarify that, because Daddy was 45, about to turn 46 when I was born. And so he was an older parent to start with, but he still died very young.
it was right. It was just a sudden thing, you know. And then Daddy was much more okay having you make sure you all do your jobs, just or taking care of things. And I would always like be the person, like, they have so much to do, they have so much homework, they have their activities. I felt like you always had so much going on. I was like, I wasn't as concerned whether you made your bed or not, whether you cleaned something or whatever. That wasn't a concern. And then afterwards, it was like, I felt like it came back to haunt me when we were getting ready for Christmas. It was just like, oh, I'm sorry, Tommy, you know, like I probably should have had to do a little more at first, but it was like, it came back to haunt me like that. Now I'm like, you know, good is good. My dad used to say, perfect is the enemy of good. And as I've gotten older, I'm realizing that it is what it is. You know, it just yes, there's some things people have to be super good in, like if they're building a bridge and all those types of things. But then other things in their life they don't have to worry about. Yeah, it's a fine line, you know,
Right.
because you want your children, you want yourself, you want to do your job, but there's limits, and it's still good to be conscientious. I don't want to take anyone from being conscientious, but there's levels. And whether something's, you know,
Well,
you
you're
just
the
have to
one
let go. Just let go and do what you can. And but with just there's 24 hours in a day, so you have to also kind of abide by that too.
Hey, I'm Lauren, host of the Naked Truth with Lauren podcast, where we have real, stripped-down conversations about mental health and adulting. If this episode resonated with you, I think you'll love my free weekly newsletter, Community Gratitude Practice. Every week, you get a quick dose of gratitude to help you focus less on what's missing and more on what's meaningful in your life. And if you want to go deeper and feel less alone in your struggles, come hang out with me on the podcast. Find it all at thenakedtruthwithlauren.com. I'd love to have you.
Let's get to the final segment. So every episode, I ask my guest, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream, or what was something that you wanted to be? It could be fun. It could be boring.
I probably just wanted to be a kid.
You didn't want to have an imagination,
I had an imagination. I wanted to be like a detective or something, maybe. But I didn't know. I mean, if I don't remember saying this, but as far as I remember, I really liked Trixie Belden series.
Okay.
My mom made us read in the summer, like in the middle of the day, and but I ended up, once I would start, I would like it. But it was, I just wanted to play. You know, all I wanted to do is just be outside.
Yeah.
And
which is good and healthy.
So I don't know, like if I really thought of, like something that I wanted to be. But I definitely liked being a kid.
But in terms of being,
I was hesitant about growing up too.
Why?
I don't know, like in becoming like a teenager. It was just, because like teenagers, and that's the mental, like what I interpreted adults to think. And so maybe that's why I was kind of like, I still like being a kid,
So then you learned before retirement that teenagers weren't all that bad.
Oh.
But when you were a kid,
when I was a kid, right?
you wanted to
right.
be a kid.
You just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I was very close with both my parents, but I guess maybe like my dad, when people had the transistor radios, walking around, like I think he was like he
those
affected,
kids.
something like that. But he wasn't. He was not a negative person at all. And but my interpretation sometimes would be like not, like I did do it for a little bit, but I always wanted to, I don't know, be good or be good for him, and so I don't know if that was part of it. You never know inside a kid's mind what they're thinking, and you don't realize maybe certain things you say or do or whatever, how it's interpreted.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Happy
you.
belated.
Thank you. And I do want to say one thing. Well, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, whether they have their own children, adopted children, whether they're just taking care of someone or just around children of some sort. And one other thing, each person is, you're unique. And so what motivates you and what you strive for, you can still work out if you do choose to have children, or if you're blessed with children. If you figure out a way, it's just with a little creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for being the best mother. She is the best mother too.
Well, thank
We
you. I
love
guess
having
do you
her-
have to say that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we love having you be our mom. And
Mm.
we try to make you feel as special in life as you are to us, and try to let you know that in whatever ways we can. And hopefully you know how much we love you and how special you are to us, and how lucky we feel to have you, and how much you've touched so many other people's lives.
Thank you all. And I feel extremely blessed, with each one of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
We try to make you guys proud. All right. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
What Are You is a one-woman production by me, Angeleaza. To support my independently created work, first, like and leave a comment on this episode, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Next, become a buy-based subscriber at whatareyoupod.supercast.com to get early episode access, ad-free listening, and bonus content. Finally, visit www.whatareyoupod.com or follow us on Instagram at whatareyu_pod to contact us, see additional content, and more. Thank you for listening.
If being a parent is a part of your identity, then this message is for you. Recently, I learned that myopia, or nearsightedness, is becoming much more common in kids. And as a former nearsighted child, it is definitely not something you want to ignore. If it goes unchecked, it can have an impact that goes way beyond schoolwork. An eye doctor can help determine whether your child may be developing myopia and talk through management options designed specifically for kids, like Essilor Stellest lenses. Stellest lenses look like regular glasses, but they're part of a more thoughtful approach to managing myopia. If you're a parent and you've been needing to book your kid an eye exam, let this be your sign to finally do it. Visit Essilor.com to learn more about Stellest lenses and to find an Essilor expert eye care professional near you. That's ESSILOR.com.